You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Kevin and his agency Did It have helped thousands of businesses win through superior marketing, as have his books, articles, speaking engagements, and the E-Marketing Association Power Marketing podcasts. Here's Kevin.
I'm here today with Eric Satz, who started a company which is really fascinating that has to do with self-managed IRAs, including the ability to self-manage an IRA that has crypto in it. So I'd love to hear the backstory, Eric, for starting Alto.
So the backstory actually has nothing to do with Kevin. It has nothing to do with crypto. But what I really wanted to say was thank you for having me on, Kevin. But that may be a first confusing crypto for Kevin, but we'll see how the rest of this goes. So back in 2013, 2014, I was trying to use my IRA to invest in a private company that I was involved with. And what could otherwise be a really long story, I'll make really short. This created my first exposure to what is referred to, at least was referred to at the time, as the self-directed IRA industry. And it took me about 10 weeks to make that first investment, a process that if you're not using IRA money, you can complete in about 10 minutes. And at the end of this people burdened, paper burdened, goalpost constantly moving process, I wrote the custodian a check for the privilege of all the work I had done to make this thing happen. And that made no sense to me. So, I did what any sort of rational, sane person would do. It was actually two things. One, I made two more investments the same way. And originally I was thinking maybe I chose the wrong custodian. The problem was the experiences only worsened with each episode. And so then the second sane thing I did was to decide to start a company to fix it. And that's how we got to Alto IRA, which we founded in early 2016. And then really launched our platform the first quarter of 2018. So that's the backstory.
Great. Well, I mean, certainly, there are folks, custodians and asset management companies that are out there pitching self-directed IRAs, typically to allow for, the scenario that you talked about, where they make you jump over hurdles, and then they add more hurdles as you're running. But adding crypto to a self-managed IRA is somewhat new. People may not realize the multitude of asset classes that you can put in there. So for you guys, is crypto sort of the foundation? Is that the catalyst for most of your customers, or are people also solving the problem that you had initially, which is wanting to put private companies into IRAs, wanting to do alternative asset classes?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and the answer is yes. The answer is, yeah, we've got about 20,000 customers now. About 12,000 are invested in non-crypto assets, and about 8,000 are invested in crypto assets. So it's a pretty close division, if you will. I think from an investment standpoint, what we like to talk about, what we like to preach, what we're really trying to promote is portfolio diversification. We're not trying to push any one specific asset class. Crypto is certainly having a very long moment right now. I think its moment will go on for a few more heartbeats as well. I think we're still at the very early stages of what's going to happen in the larger crypto sector and what it means for the financial industry in this world. But the reason we refer to ourselves as the alternative IRA is because saying self-directed IRA is a little bit like saying natural food. It's completely meaningless. Right. At least with organic food, you get a certification. And so for us, you can have a self-directed IRA account at Fidelity or Schwab or TD, but that just means that you get to direct your own investments from a list of approved public stocks and bonds. You can't invest in these other alternative asset classes, and that's where we specialize. And that's where we've built this network and hub that allows for seamless transaction execution using your IRA savings to invest in real estate, private equity, venture capital, credit product, which could be peer-to-peer loans. It could be small business loans, could be big business loans, artwork, securitized collectibles, and of course, crypto. And for crypto, and for those who are really trying to come up to speed in the market segment, get smarter, do some homework, do the necessary due diligence, we partner with Coinbase. And I think most people understand that Coinbase is really the leading exchange right now, one of the most reputable in the world, certainly in the US. And they're our exchange partner right now.
Great. And I know that they've recently gotten, if I'm remembering correctly, they've gotten into the ability to sort of be the custodian themselves for NFTs as well. So do you see...
they are launching an NFT marketplace. I honestly can't remember whether it's launched or about to launch or, or what it is. The space moves so quickly. I think the clear leader in the NFT space right now is OpenSea.
Right.
But if you ask people who their wallet provider is, and they sort of check their purse or pants pocket, we have a long way to go in this industry space. And from a UX UI perspective, I think we're still nowhere. Most people, that's an incorrect statement. I think a lot of people have heard the term or phrase NFT. They don't necessarily know that it means non-fungible token. If they know it means non-fungible token, they don't know what that means. And they're not alone, and they don't know how to buy one, and they don't know, right? Like, we're just at such an early stage in the development of this ecosystem. That's actually the exciting part for us.
Yeah.
Right. Because we do believe that this is an asset class that isn't going away. It's going to have a significant impact on financial futures for most Americans. And we want to play a leading role in making sure that people have access to these assets and have a way to benefit long term.
Yeah, the reason I brought up NFTs is because you mentioned artwork as one of the asset classes that can sit within a self-directed IRA. And obviously NFTs, while they're not exclusively for artwork, that's a chunk of the NFT market, is the collectibles and artwork side of it. So when Coinbase launches their platform, do you anticipate sort of a seamless integration to allow the NFTs that are hosted within one's Coinbase account to be within your custodial IRA as well?
I hope so.
All right, good. Well, we'll look forward to that as well.
Yes. And look, again, and I know I'm sounding a little bit like a broken record. We're in the early days. What's interesting is that there were, as I understand it, two parts to Art Basel this year down in Miami, Florida, which is a big, let's just call it art convention for shorthand, a big annual event. There was Art Basel and there was NFT Basel. And so NFTs have certainly entered the art world, but the implications for NFTs and financial transactions and financial securities and what's referred to as smart contracts is much larger and much broader than a Bored Ape. And if you don't know what an NFT is, then you're not going to understand the reference to a Bored Ape, and ignore this entirely.
Great. Well, go back to our original, topics. I'm sort of curious, as you do your marketing, do you see yourself as grabbing sort of share of wallet from those archaic traditional custodial organizations that either are super restrictive with regards to asset class or make you, waste 20, 40, 60 hours of your time just to set something up? Or are you actually more like educating people on, hey, did you even know this exists and why didn't you try it?
And again, I hate to repeat myself, but I think the answer is yes.
Okay.
To all of the above. And I think it's less about stealing market share, because we're actually the ones who have created this network of alternative asset investment platforms, right? We're the connective tissue there.
Right.
And so it's not like we're taking something necessarily away from the legacy players that have been in the industry for the past 40 years, so much as we've created something that didn't exist before. We use technology to add significant efficiencies and scalability, and therefore price effectiveness. And so we've opened up a market that was really, really hard to access. And we like to think we've flipped that on its head and created a lot of possibilities for investors that they didn't have previously. And so I think if you look at the industry historically and you look at where they invested, I think probably 90% of it was in real estate. Because it had to be a big investment to justify the cost of this type of account. And we've come along, and with what we've done, we've said, hey, you can invest as little as $10 in your crypto IRA. That's really different than a $150,000 piece of real estate, right? So yeah. It's a different world, I think.
So from a user experience perspective, if I've got an Alto IRA and I want to sort of change my asset mix, right? Because you talked about diversification being sort of a tenet of what you're recommending, either with or without professional help, independent of you guys. Do I do that within your interface? Do I potentially both swap out different types of crypto if I want to, reduce my Bitcoin and increase my ETH, or go out and buy some Dogecoin? Do I do that through your interface, or do I use my Coinbase login to do the mix shift?
Yeah, so you do it at Alto. And there are two different answers to your question, by the way. Within your crypto IRA, so within your crypto IRA account, we do segregate crypto IRA accounts from the standard Alto IRA account, although there's nothing standard about it, but that's what we call it. Within your crypto IRA account, you trade directly from the Alto platform. We just execute via Coinbase, right? So we're sending, digital instructions essentially to Coinbase on your behalf, and buying and selling. So you balance everything, you track everything, and you see everything directly from your Alto IRA account. On the standard side, if you want to get cash in there in order to rebalance your larger portfolio, which could include, public stocks and bonds over at Fidelity, well, then you would sell some stocks and bonds over there. Or if you're in cash, you would just move cash to your new Alto IRA account. And then you could either invest via the investment platforms that we're connected to, of which there are, give or take, 80 of them, across various asset classes: real estate, private equity, farmland, venture capital, artwork, et cetera, as we discussed. Or you can bring your own deal. Maybe you have an opportunity to invest in a friend's business or a friend's fund or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be our platform partner. But we created a two-sided solution such that you can invite your own, what we refer to as a deal sponsor, which is someone who's raising money.
Right. with regards to those, I mean, those are, as an multiple time entrepreneur, obviously that's a fascinating area, as well as an angel investor. Are there any restrictions with regards to it being a C Corp, an LLC, or other company formation type when you're doing angel investing and putting those assets into an IRA?
So there's something called prohibited transaction that are specific to IRA investments and IRA account holders. The good news is that you actually don't need to get educated on it, because as you go through our system, we ask you the questions and we won't allow you, based on your answers, to make an investment you're not allowed to make. This, right, of course, assumes you tell us the truth, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that if you didn't, the IRS has the possibility to catch up with you. So probably should answer.
This is why we record. This is why we record and store the answers.
Yeah, exactly. So back to sort of marketing strategy. Given that you're up to the multi-thousands of customers at this point, have you gotten a sense of what the sort of personas are of these customers, particularly the ones that are most valuable to you? Are they at a particular stage of life? Is there something about them that predicts that they would be a great Alto customer?
I don't think I have a good answer for your audience yet with respect to that specific question. And I think depending upon asset class, our customer truly ranges in age from 25 to 80. Right. Especially as you're thinking about some of the larger real estate opportunities or commitments, those tend to skew towards the latter half of the age demographic. As we're thinking about things that are happening in the crypto sector and securitized artwork and other collectibles, whether they're automobiles or Rolex watches or Michael Jordan sneakers, we're trending towards the lower half. I think certainly as you go millennial down, you understand that there is a more significant level of distrust for the incumbents. And by incumbents, I mean traditional large financial institutional players, and folks looking like they want to invest in things that they care about, things that they know, and things that they believe will make a difference in the world. And a lot of those are not found on public markets. They're private investment opportunities. And so we certainly are focused on enabling access to those opportunities at an affordable price. I think the older demographic really is working harder to diversify their portfolio risk. And so whereas the financial industry used to preach 60-40, 60% public stocks, 40% public bonds, I think the new conventional wisdom, which has appropriately caught up to the world, is more of, maybe it's 20 times 5, right? 20% in 5 different asset classes. And to be clear, we're not anti-public investment opportunities. We're just anti-public concentration risk, right? And so you just, at some point, you buy one more mutual fund, you didn't get any more diversification, you just got one more mutual fund. So, our goal is to help people exceed return expectations.
Right, absolutely. Certainly traditionally in the past, or data seems to indicate that many people, younger people, wait too long to start IRAs and underinvest in them early, probably because they have no disposable income to do so. But there's a very different sort of value proposition to sort of catching those people early, maybe as a result of their passion for crypto, versus somebody who's 5 years or 10 years from retirement and actually has a pretty big nest egg and is looking to diversify their risk or otherwise hedge against one asset class going crazy in the negative direction.
2008, 2009.
Right.
Sure.
So Do you think that the crypto investors sort of, because that they're sort of more open to sort of an upstart brand, coming in there and saying, hey, you're doing things differently, so do we?
Yeah, so I think crypto is the gateway asset to a broader set of alternatives. I do believe that. And I think whatever it takes to get people thinking about their financial future today, as opposed to 20 years from now, is a good thing. I think, the other changing definition of the future is around retirement itself. And if I can't remember where I saw this article, but there was a survey of millennials and Gen Z, and basically it asked if they thought they'd be able to retire. And the short answer was no, by a significant majority. And I no longer think it's really about retirement. I think it's about financial flexibility, financial choice, financial freedom. I don't really think retirement is going to be a thing. It's all about how we're actually spending our later years, and whatever that means. I don't think it means rocking chairs and lemonade anymore, right? And so the only question is, how prepared can we be? How much flexibility do we have when we get there? And what most people need to understand is that sort of later result starts now. Right. And the thing about an IRA account is you get to benefit from what Einstein referred to as the eighth wonder of the world, which is compounding returns. You don't have to pay taxes on your returns. You get to reinvest them. And that makes a huge difference over a lifetime.
Absolutely. So one interesting thing you mentioned, both because they were the catalyst for you starting the company, but also because they're the ones that restrict you to standard sort of equity and equity type holdings. Some of those financial services companies have spent billions of dollars sort of creating an environment where their consumers trust them. And within crypto in general, and also for yourself, right? You've managed to convince thousands of people that you've got a solution that they want. So what advice would you give to other startups in either in the crypto space or in a space where they need to build trust? Because clearly you've managed to figure out how to do it. What's sort of the secret to build trust quickly as a startup brand?
I think that's a great question. And I don't think I've really ever been asked that question exactly that way. And what I would do is point you to the core values, Alto's core values, that you can find on the website. We try to live by them. We try to hire by them. We try to treat all of our stakeholders in alignment with our core values. And I think one of the most important is honesty and transparency. If we make a mistake, we're going to tell you we made a mistake. We're going to own it. We're going to fix it. And God willing, we're not going to make it again. We are only human, though, right? We're not perfect. But I do think it's important to raise your hands and recognize when you've done something that was inaccurate or wrong or needs to be fixed, whatever it may be. And I think we do that. We also have a core value, which is you do you, meaning we don't expect any of our team members or any of our customers to look or think or speak a certain way. In fact, we expect just the opposite, which is to bring their whole selves to the table and add perspective, add value, add thought. We want independent thinkers who can express themselves. And at the same time, we want team players who, once we make a decision as a team at Alto, even if we disagreed along the way, when the decision is made, we're all behind it and we're all rowing in the same boat. And I don't know that there's any one thing which makes customers trust you or believe you or whatever it is, other than to do what you say you do.
Right. So authenticity, I guess, is the way I'd sum it up, right?
For better or for worse.
Exactly, because you're basically saying that this is us, we're out there. So I'm sure you're in pretty close contact with your marketing team. So what marketing platforms or channels have your marketing team excited for 2022?
Oh, my word. So we really didn't start marketing until the end of Q4 of last year. And I don't think anyone's going to learn anything new from what I have to say. And I'm sure the marketing team doesn't tell me all the stuff that they don't want me to know, but as they experiment through it, although they do know, I know we're going to get some things wrong. Like I said, we're only human, but live and learn. You got to make some mistakes, trial and error, especially in marketing. And so we're in TV, we're in Google. We're going to be on podcasts like this one. We're going to be in streaming, like Hulu and other stuff. I think we're looking at Snapchat, different browsers. So marketing, they want me to stay far away, but I think we're exploring all avenues right now. We did some interesting stuff with billboards that will get rolled out, which are sort of a tongue-in-cheek play on some other industry participants' marketing activities having to do with buying or paying for the naming rights of big arenas, which we're not going to do. Right. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it could be total bomb. Who knows? But it's fun.
Well, I look forward to watching the marketing evolve. That's how I reached out to you, as I actually saw some of your marketing and figured like, oh, these guys are doing something interesting. Let me reach out. So,
we actually did sign a pretty big agreement with Barstool Sports. And I don't know if you know them or not,
sure.
But with PMT and Spit and Chicklets, and there's a high correlation between sports fans and crypto specifically. And, I feel like it's an opportunity to really teach people about starting to invest now, the long-term benefits of doing so, and also talking about financial literacy. And it's an interesting audience with which to begin that conversation. So we're excited about that relationship.
Cool. Well, I look forward to watching the growth and the evolution. And you may, in fact, have sold me into starting an Alto IRA myself. So
no time like today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Eric.
Thanks, Kevin. Really appreciate it.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in the Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.